Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
Waiting to rise again.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is the moment you've all been waiting for.
Locking down the middle of the day. Live from downtown Baton Rouge, this is Hunt Palmer.
Hour 2, Football Friday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp. Going to talk some LSU Ole Miss. Segment 2, got Take It or Leave It coming up. My final pick for Tigers and Rebels at the end of the hour. I told you yesterday I did not have a pick. Hour 2, I settled in. It's right there in my ear. Just me talking to my ear.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, I had the college football song ready to go, and the audio was also on the stream.
But I said yesterday that I did not have a pick yet in the second hour. I settled on my pick at about 11 o'clock this morning. So I will give you that at the end of the show. I've really wrestled with it, and I'll give you all the reasons why I feel the way I do at the end of the show. But we'll get to that when we get there. We look at my SEC picks against the spread for the year. And the record is bad, 16-25. But here's the deal. 2-9 week 2. Other than that, 6-5, 4-6, 4-5. That's a record of 14-16. That's right there on par. It's just one bad week.
Yeah.
So we don't abandon the process. We stick to the process.
Incorrect
and
decision.
We know that ultimately we come out on the other end because of the intelligence level and the expertise that I bring to the show each and every day.
Poor decision making.
Great decision making. Here it comes. SEC picks against the number, getting you ready for Saturday. It all starts at 11 o'clock on ABC. Notre Dame, the Fighting Irish, headed to Fayetteville to play the Hogs, who are catching 4.5. Now, Arkansas has moved the ball and scored points. Against Ole Miss, they lost. They had 526 yards of offense and scored 35 points. Against Memphis, they lost. They had 500 yards and scored 31 points. On the other side, Notre Dame scored 40 on A&M, but it wasn't enough. This is not the Notre Dame defense from last year. I don't like Arkansas to win. I think they backdoor cover on this. Taylor Green runs around a little bit. They do put up some points. They don't stop Notre Dame enough to win the game. But 4.5, I can get under 4.5 a few different ways. I can lose by 1. I can lose by 3. I can even lose by 4. And I get there. I want the Hogs and the points. I'll take 4.5 there. Utah State's in Nashville to play Vandy. 23.5 is the number. Vandy scored 70 last week. Is this a look-ahead spot for Vandy?
I knew this was coming.
They play Bama next week?
I knew it was coming.
Utah State put up a fight at Texas A&M. They scored 22 points. They were okay. Give me the Utah State Aggies plus the 23.
How many times do you have to get burned by Vandy, Hunt?
As many times as it takes. Many times as it takes. Auburn is at Texas A&M. This one's raising a lot of eyebrows. Auburn played well last week in Norman. I mean, we can talk about the blown officiating call all we want, whatever. But they were right there in that game the whole way. They also lead the SEC in run defense, which is Texas A&M's bread and butter, running the football. But Auburn is 15th in the SEC in passing, and they're not good in terms of basically every offensive statistic. They're 10th in the conference in total offense. I just don't think that an offense that bad is going to be able to keep up with Marcel Reed at home coming off the bye. Like Texas A&M, I'll lay the 6.5 points, even though I think Auburn is a pretty good football team. Tennessee's at State. This line's a little stinky. It's only 7.5 there. Vols are favored. State only has 5 sacks on the season, and Tennessee leads the SEC in passing in terms of yardage and touchdowns. Aguilar's been very, very good. I like Tennessee to score a lot, and I just don't know if Mississippi State's built to keep up with them. So give me the Vols. I will lay the 7.5 points there. All right, 6:30 ABC, big one. Alabama at Georgia. Kirby Smart's outfit giving 3.5 points here. These teams, this is weird to say, are tied for 14th in the SEC in sacks. Georgia's dead last in the SEC in tackles for loss. They're not making a lot of plays in the backfield on either side here. Ty Simpson's played great the last 2 games. The question is, can Georgia do what Florida State did to Alabama and run for 230 yards and 4 touchdowns? That's what Florida State did to beat them. Certainly Wisconsin's not capable of that. I don't think that Georgia can, because Castellanos ran for 78 yards in that game for Florida State, and Gunnar Stockton is not going to do that. I don't know who wins this game, but if you're going to give me 3.5 points more than a field goal, I'll go ahead and take the road team, Alabama, and those 3.5 points with the Tide. This could be a bit of a coming out party for Ty Simpson, who, again, has played pretty well while nobody's been watching because they've been doing it against bad teams. UMass is at Missouri. The line here is 43 and a hook. UMass is 0-3. They lost 42-10 to Temple. They lost to Bryant 27-26, and then Iowa got after them 47-7. If you translate Iowa points to real points, that's like 97 points. So Missouri's a great bully. I'll lay the 43 points. I'll probably win 70-3, and that'll be a winner.
Missouri has probably the worst non-conference I've seen of all time.
And they bully teams. They're very, very good at that. So give me Missouri minus the 43.5. Kentucky's at South Carolina. Here was my chore today when handicapping this game. What is Kentucky good at? Total offense, these are SEC ranked, 16-team league. Total offense, 13th. Scoring offense, 12th. Passing offense, 16th. Rushing offense, 6th. That's okay. That's decent. Scoring defense, 13th. Rushing defense, 11th. Total defense, 16th. Passing defense, 15th. The moral of this story is Kentucky isn't good at anything. South Carolina is at home. They've got Lenora Sellers. They're probably in a cranky mood. I'm going to lay the 5.5 with the logic that Kentucky's atrocious. Maybe that's good analysis. Maybe it's not, but it's all that I have for you.
You've bet against Kentucky a few times. That hasn't worked either.
I bet against them against Toledo, and the Golden Flashes got it home.
Yeah.
So there's my picks against the number. You got Arkansas plus 4.5 at home. Utah State plus 23.5 at Vandy. The Texas A&M Aggies minus 6.5, so I've got both sets of Aggies there. Tennessee laying 7.5 at State. Alabama catching 3.5 at Georgia. Missouri minus 43.5 against UMass. And then you've got South Carolina minus 5.5.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't trust you.
I think you've been thrown off because you're too invested in the Vanderbilt Commodores.
Well, I am. I will say that, but I still just don't trust you at all, and I feel okay.
Well, how is that? Why?
But, well, I mean, I don't know.
I'm a brilliant mind. I'm one of the foremost authorities on all things SEC football.
You have not.
I get dozens of views on YouTube every day.
Yes, that is true, but I just don't like your picks. Sorry.
Well, that's not very polite. A little bit rude.
I'll say this. I think you're gonna probably go one game under 500 again this week. I think that's gonna happen.
I think, as I look at it objectively, certainly with no bias here, that's 7 games.
You're going 3-4.
That's got 5-2 written all over it.
No chance.
5-2 written all over it. I actually think that I should get an extra win when Arkansas backdoor covers.
Oh, yeah? Well,
that should be verse.
Here's the deal, Hunt. Vanderbilt's going to score 60 on Utah State because they're terrible.
No, Utah State's decent. They can score some points. Utah State scored 22 on A&M. A&M's defense is better than Vanderbilt.
Kentucky is going to cover because for some reason they just managed to cover against
Cats,
teams.
I just gave you all the research on that.
I don't care. It doesn't
Every
matter.
stat, they suck.
Remember what you said about them against Ole Miss?
Yeah.
Not true at all.
They're still terrible.
I agree, but they're going to cover.
No.
And Mississippi,
Lenoris, Coach Beamer Bowl.
Mississippi State at home getting 7.5 points. Home dogs. I like home dogs. I'd probably take the Bulldogs.
They got a bad team.
We'll see.
Aguilar throwing it all over the place. Coach Heupel, fast-paced offense.
That's true. I like Alabama as well. I mean, sorry, Georgia. I like Georgia. No, I don't like Alabama. Georgia at home.
I got the Crimson Tide and 3.5.
Georgia's going to win that game, and they're going to win it by more than 3 points.
Stockton.
They're going to win.
Georgia's good.
They are very good. You have them. Where do you have them on your power rankings?
1.
Yes, and you're betting against them.
No, I'm betting against them in terms of covering.
3 points, Hunt.
And a half. Give me the half.
Okay. They're winning by more than a field goal.
16-25 on the season. And we'll talk about a real comeback here with the week that is.
Even if you go 5-2.
I'm actually going to get to watch all these games because I'll be at the sports book. Oh, yeah. I'm always doing stuff.
So you're going to be watching the Ryder Cup, man.
Yes, I will be. But how many TVs do I have?
You need to have a bunch.
I mean, I'll have the Ryder Cup if they don't have it. If I can't convince the sportsbook guy to put the Ryder Cup on TV, which is probably going to happen, I'll have it on the laptop.
Yeah.
That's all right.
Even if you go 5-2, that still puts you at
Shreveport, Sammy Burns. Let's see how this goes.
Fire right down the middle.
They're 2 down. He and Cantley are 2 down. That's
a good shot.
Bad part of the green. That's not doing anything.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know if Sam was the right pick there, but
we will hear what Brian Kelly had to say. I think there's an interesting nugget about his coaching style that he laid on us yesterday. So we'll talk about that next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Swing Easy Golf Club, swingeasygcbr.com. You know, what in the heck is Swing Easy Golf Club? Well, it's brand new, so it's okay that you have not heard of it or have not been. I highly invite you to go and buy it. It is the weekend. You want to hit some golf shots, but you don't have 4.5 hours to play around. Well, you can play around at Swing Easy Golf Club in like an hour at one of the great courses in the world on their awesome simulators. You want to play Bethpage back where the Ryder Cup is while you watch the Ryder Cup on TV and drink a couple of cold beers? You can do that at Swing Easy Golf Club. You want to play Pebble Beach or Cypress Point? You can do that at Swing Easy Golf Club. Bring your friends, put the games on TV, put the Ryder Cup on TV, hang out, hit some golf shots in the air conditioning. It's an awesome place to hang out. You can be a scratch golfer. You can be a beginner golfer. And you can still have some fun over at Swing Easy Golf Club. The weekend is here. Get off of work. Go over to Segan at Perkins. Walk on into Swing Easy Golf Club. Crack open a cold beer and enjoy your weekend at Swing Easy Golf Club. They're online at swingeasygcbr.com. swingeasygcbr.com.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Quirks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp.
Got some take it or leave it here coming in 15 minutes. My final pick for LSU and Ole Miss at the end of the show today. Appreciate you hanging out with us on a nice Friday in the capital city. If you're here in South Louisiana, temps in the mid-80s, which is a nice little refreshing change of pace. The rain from this week is gone, and it's kind of nice out there. So hopefully you'll enjoy your weekend. I know a big part of that is going to be the Tigers and Ole Miss. You know, there are a lot of folks around the college football world who are not big fans of Brian Kelly. And I was one of those when he was at Ole Miss. It had a little bit to do with Brian Kelly's demeanor. It had more to do with the logo on his shirt. I'm not a big Notre Dame guy. So anybody that's coaching them, I'm probably not going to be a huge fan of. But a lot of folks don't like Brian Kelly, and that's fine. But you may have preconceived notions about what he is and what he isn't. And you feel like a lot of coaches late in their career, and Brian Kelly has a lot more coaching in his rearview mirror than he does in front of him, can kind of have their way, and their way is the highway or the highway, and that's the way they're going to run the program. And one of the things that I've noticed about Brian Kelly in now 3+ years as the head coach in Baton Rouge is that he is not afraid to suggest that he did something wrong, he can go a different way, or he can adjust the way that he's coaching things based on changes in the landscape of the sport, one, and then on his team and in a game, two. And I think that something he said this week lends itself to that. I'll give you some examples. Like I've talked about this a little bit, but like he hired a defensive staff when he got here, and it was a failure. I don't know how else you could put what they put on the field in 2023 other than a failure. And there was a big buyout, and there was ego involved in him handpicking those guys to be the coaches, and he said nope. And to further that point, a year prior to that, he cut bait with Brian Polian and set sail with Frank Wilson in terms of roster management. Like he made changes in his staff because he knew things were going the wrong way. And then you look at him standing up and saying on the record to the media, like, we are not going to be in the business of buying players. We want players to come here, develop in our system, win championships, graduate, and go into the professional ranks. That's how we're going to do it. And then he came back immediately the next year and said, we got to buy players. He changed like that on a dime. And he coached a team 2 years ago that could not stop anybody on defense and was elite on offense. So he put his offense on the field first, and they went for it on 4th downs, and they just got as aggressive as they could be because they knew they had to go score points because their offense was awesome and had the eventual Heisman Trophy winner, and the defense stunk. And through a month of this season, he's got the inverse. He's got an offense that's clunky. They don't run the ball very well. The quarterback was hurt, and the defense was elite. So he pulled the reins back, going for fourth downs after the Clemson game. And he's welcome punting and field position. And they've run the ball a little bit, and they've just kind of played to the strength of the defense. And that won games at Clemson and against Florida. Absolutely won games. Because he sensed that was the best way to win it. The opposite of what he did 2 years ago, but the best way to win it. And you worry that you could get complacent with that. Because as we sit back and analyze this thing, I'm going, that's really good to win at Clemson. It's really good to beat Florida. I know they're 1-3, but it's good to get those wins. You're in a better position today than you've been at any point in the Brian Kelly era because you're 4-0. But to think that you're going to be able to do that and just punt and hold everybody to 10 points and get 5 interceptions, that's not a sustainable way to win. I talked about that on Monday after the Florida game. Great win. Good job getting the win. Defense was awesome. It's not sustainable to win by getting 5 interceptions. And Brian Kelly talked about that yesterday in the way that he's going to coach moving forward.
This is much more about we can't win in the SEC saying we're just going to lay on our defense and whatever happens there, we'll let it go. Our offense has got to rise to the occasion as well. And certainly Florida was not exactly what we wanted to do in that game, but we wanted to win the game and find a way to win as we continue to develop our offense. But we have to have production from our offense. And it's an offense that's capable of it. It's just taking some time with some new pieces and all of it coming together. But I want to be consistent on defense in this game, be who we are, and then continue to see the growth and development that we saw last week going into this week.
It's a refreshing perspective and a correct perspective. I go back to one of Charles Handegriff, who hosts most days 11-1 here on ESPN Baton Rouge. A quote that he loves to talk about with Les Miles. The engine's pretty stinking good. For those that aren't familiar with that quote, everyone was asking Les Miles at the end of the Fournette era, are you gonna throw the ball some more and not lean on Fournette as the engine of the offense? And Les simply said, did you see the engine? The engine's pretty stinking good because they ran over Texas Tech for 1 billion yards in the bowl game. Because Texas Tech stinks. To lose that many games with Cliff Kingsbury at head coach calling the plays and Patrick Mahomes at quarterback, you got to be pretty bad everywhere else, especially on defense. And they were. But there's a stubbornness to that just was not going to change. This is the way I do it, and I'm not going to change. Say whatever you want about Brian Kelly. And you can say whatever you want about his time at Cincinnati or Notre Dame. I can't speak to that. Spoken to Notre Dame fans who say he didn't change anything he did at Notre Dame. He's the most hard-headed coach I've ever seen. That has not been the case in Baton Rouge. I have seen a coach that's open to new ideas. I've seen a coach that's adapted to his personnel. I've seen a coach that is willing to change on a dime if he sees something doesn't align with the way that he initially thought. And it's refreshing, and I'm curious just how that plays out in this game on Saturday. Because I'll get to my final pick in 35 minutes. But my contention is that LSU cannot do to a Lane Kiffin offense what LSU did to Clemson and to Florida. Let me be very clear. If LSU does that on defense, I will be very pleasantly surprised, and I will sit on the post-game show on the network, and I will come to work on Monday, and I'll say, this team's special. Because even against Trinidad Chambliss, a D2 transplant quarterback, to hold a Lane Kiffin offense to 10 points and 4 turnovers or whatever, if you want to run your parallels to Clemson and Florida, that doesn't happen to Ole Miss. And so if LSU does that in Vaught Hemingway, I'll sing a little different tune. And I'm willing to do that, gladly. But I think you're going to have to go score a little bit. And so I think that that's going to be incumbent upon LSU. And the curiosity that I have about the way the game plays out on Saturday is, does Brian Kelly get back to being a little bit more aggressive on fourth downs to go try to score points? Or does he just sit back and play field position? He said there was a point against Clemson, it was at the end of the game in the fourth quarter, where they had a 4th and 4 from in Clemson territory, and the book said, go for this. And he punted because he felt like his defense would get a stop, and they did. And you looked at that game with Florida on the field, and I don't know how you felt watching the game on TV or in the stadium, wherever you were. I never felt like Florida was going to go down the field and get a lot of touchdowns. And so you were pretty content to play field position, and you got a phenomenal day from your punter in that game. Boomed a couple of 50-plus yarders, pinned Florida deep 4 different times. I am curious how Brian Kelly coaches that. And I talked about this on Tuesday's show. I want to make sure my days are right. On Tuesday's show. On the other sideline, Lane Kiffin was the most aggressive fourth down coach in the Southeastern Conference his first 4 years in Oxford. Analytics. You always heard it. And you saw it in Tiger Stadium last year. They got down in the red zone 2 different times, went for fourth downs, did not kick field goals, got no points. LSU stopped them, and you end up losing the game in overtime. And now you look up, he's only gone for fourth down twice. And I don't know exactly why that's the case. We talked to Michael Katz yesterday, who covers Ole Miss, and he said, well, you saw in the Georgia game last year, they got into some scoring positions. They had some short fourth downs. They kicked field goals. They won the game 28-10. And that may have been a day that he kind of decided, I don't have to coach this way. Sometimes you can lean on the defense and kick the ball field goals are okay. But that defense that Ole Miss had was elite. Elite personnel, every level. And this one doesn't look that way on paper. It doesn't look that way as far as the production. Arkansas went up and down the field. So I am very fascinated with how these coaches handle themselves on Saturday. How aggressive are you on fourth downs? How willing are you to punt? Because if you're LSU, you're sitting here saying, we got a defense that we know can help us win games and be the primary reason we win games. If you're Ole Miss, you're probably looking at this LSU team going, well, they don't really run the ball that well, and they haven't scored a ton of points on offense. Their statistics aren't that great. We might be able to punt it to them and get a stop. But by the same token, both coaches are heavy on analytics and certainly have a chart that says if you're right here on the field at this time of the game and right here, this is how many yards to go, we'll go for this. So that part, the two coaches, how willing they are to be flexible, and I think the decisions they make will tell you early in this game how the coaching staffs feel about how they match up. I think if you see the coaches going for it on their offensive side, you'll feel like they don't feel as confident in their defense as you might think they do for different reasons. LSU should feel confident in their defense because it's got studs all over it, and you're facing a good offense now. Ole Miss should feel confident about their defense because LSU struggled offensively, and they feel good about their offense. So the way the coaches decide to do this is fascinating to me, and I will be really paying attention to that, honing in on that early in this game on Saturday. Brian Kelly's been flexible. He knows they've got to be better on offense. If that doesn't start Saturday, could be in some trouble. If it does, you could be 5-0 heading into the bye week in a really, really, really good position. So interesting stuff there in Oxford. I want to get you set up for our broadcasting schedule tomorrow with Guarantee Family and Networks here. 2:30 is the TV time. Just after that is kickoff time. So you look up at 9:30. You will catch Charles Handegriff and Matthew Musso from Rouse's on Burbank. 9:30, they'll be on for 3 hours, getting you ready for LSU and Ole Miss. They'll have their normal guests. They'll have Gordy Rush on. They'll have a scouting report from the folks at the Senior Bowl. They'll have Matt Moscone on. Jimmy Al will give you Otter Locks, the whole lot on their pregame show from 9:30 to 12:30. I take over on the LSU Sports Radio Network at 12:30. I'll be with Brandon Taylor and Marlon Favorite from Coshada Casino Resort over in Kinder. We'll be in the sports book there, and we'll be with you from 12:30 to about 2:05 or so. Getting you ready for the game. We'll have Ole Miss beat reporter on. We'll get you scores from around scores from around the SEC and college football. Get you weather report from Oxford as well. And then we'll hand it off to the broadcast team. They'll have the call of the game from about 2 o'clock through final score. 30 minutes after the game goes final, Brandon and Marlon and myself back from Coshada Casino Resort on the Fighting Tiger postgame report on the LSU Sports Radio Network. 90 minutes after the game goes final, Charles Handegriff and Richard Dixon from right here in studio taking your phone calls on Eagle 98.1 Game Days postgame show. So from about 9:30 to about 10 o'clock at night, we'll have you covered here at the Guarantee Family Network. So you can catch it all on Eagle 98.1 or simulcast right here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. We got 30 minutes to go. It'll be a little bit of take it or leave it coming up. We'll talk about a lot of the games from around the country, and then we'll get you my final pick in about 25 minutes on the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Cork's Cajun fried fish and shrimp. That seafood recipe born right here in the seafood capital of the world, South Louisiana. It is delicious. Jumbo Gulf shrimp, clean, crispy fried catfish, and those shoestring fries are awesome as well. They got all the sauces you could want. They've got your traditionals, your cocktail sauce, your tartar sauce, certainly ketchup as well. Try the Cork sauce out. It is an A+, got a little bit of bite, and it really complements that fish and shrimp well. They can make you a great po' boy as well. And as I've told you to start the show, if you need catering options, Corks can absolutely do that for a big group to sit at home and watch LSU and Ole Miss. If you're sitting here thinking, man, in 24 hours, LSU and Ole Miss are kicking off, I got to have food for the whole crew at the house, Corks is happy to help you with that. They're on Government between Foster and Jefferson. Strive on through. Tell them the Hunt Palmer Show sent you. Check out the whole menu online, corksfishandshrimp.com, corksfishandshrimp.com.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp.
Football Fridays here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge, live and local for better than 12 hours here on your Football Fridays. Of course, we start up off the bench live from Rouse's on Friday morning, 7 to 10. Jacob Hester and Matt Flynn. They hand things off to the crew over at Ruffino's for live at lunch. Charles Handiger, Jimmy Ott, all their guests, including Richard Dixon, with you from 10 to 1 every Friday. I'm here in studio from 1 to 3. Matt today out at Don Juan Cigar Bar, where he'll be from 3 to 6 on After Further Review. He'll hand things off to Kay Wassan, who'll be right here in this chair for Louisiana Prep Preview at 6 o'clock. That leads directly into Catholic High football at 6:45. Pregame show kickoff at 7, and we have the broadcast of Catholic High until it is completed around 9 o'clock. So you're talking about 14 hours live and local every single Friday for Football Fridays here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. We appreciate y'all for making that a part of your Fridays, making it a lot of your Fridays. We hope. We certainly have a lot of fun. These are my favorite shows to do all year. I've talked about that. I do prefer a home weekend Friday. You can feel the buzz here in Baton Rouge. Not the case. They can enjoy that in Oxford for the weekend. But let me tell you, if LSU can get a victory on Saturday afternoon, 2 weeks from now when South Carolina rolls into town, no matter what their record is, this place is going to be riding high if the Tigers can get a win and move to 5-0. Certainly we hope so. I'll tell you what I think about it coming up in 20 minutes from right now. For now, it's time for a little Take It or Leave It.
Take it or leave it.
Presented to you by Flight by Yingling, the next generation of light beer, crafted by America's oldest brewery. Today's hottest stories in sports, news, and sometimes even Hunt's life. The question is, will he take them or leave them?
It is Friday afternoon. That means it's just about quitting time. Maybe it is quitting time. You got to get on by and pick up something cold to drink at home. How about a Flight by Yingling? Highly recommended, especially if you're going to have more than one cold thing to drink. 2.6 carbs, just 95 calories, all the flavor you're looking for in a delicious cold beer. Brewed by the oldest brewery in America, still family owned and operated. It's Yingling. Flight by Yingling, the next generation of light beer.
All right, first one here. You're worried about the Ryder Cup. Take it or leave it.
Well, obviously, I'd be worried about the Ryder Cup if we were steamrolling. I got John Rahm, who I just detest with every fiber of my being.
You said you wanted him to play bad.
He's destroying
he's not playing
us.
bad.
Rory destroying us. Fleetwood destroying us. It's just absolutely disastrous.
Scheffler's not playing up to his standard.
No, he had Russell Henley on his team this morning, which was a complete disaster.
Might have been the worst performance I've ever seen.
Henley was a complete no-show. McIlroy's up 2 on Shreveport, Sam, and Cantley. That's just a disaster. We are up in 2 matches. If we can get 2.5 points, that'll be a successful session, but we're down multiple holes in the other 2. Yes, I'm very concerned about the Ryder Cup, but we got to do it slow. 1 hole at a time. 1 shot at a time.
1 hole at a time. Good. There you go, Hunt. Great coach.
Make me the captain.
Yes. Next one. Myers man, 3.5 goals scored. Owen goals do not count on Saturday. Hammer the over. Take it or leave it.
Leave that. We've got a new plan of action here for the Myers man.
Yeah?
His team gets beat by 20 goals every game because there's a 5-year-old on the team yesterday.
That's
a 5-year-old beats a 3-year-old.
Yeah, we need to talk
scene.
to the officials about that.
There are no officials. So what he's doing now, because it's almost impossible. Every once in a while he gets a breakaway and he can get a goal, but the big kids are over there. So when the ball gets free around his goal, it's going in. Because that's an easy way to get one in.
It is.
He needs to get one in. I'm not exactly discouraging it. It's fine by me. Just put it in the back of the net. So if we're not counting own goals, no chance. He put 2 in the wrong net last night. Had one breakaway, did not put it in, just missed the goal. But yeah, the own goals are popular because it's just a little bit of easier plan of action.
I mean, yeah, it's understandable.
5-year-olds stopping the 3-year-old from scoring is a bit of a problem.
Yeah, that's really we need to talk to the officials there, because that's unacceptable to have a 5-year-old going against 3-year-olds. Totally unacceptable. All right, next one. Cubs are up 4-0 last I checked. Let's see if it's still there. 4-0. Heading into the 6th inning, the Cubs get the win and secure home field for the wild card. Take it or leave it.
I'll leave that because they would still be one short in the magic number. The Padres would have to lose one more time, or the Cubs would have to win another time. But they do. The Cubs' magic number is 2 there to get those home games. I'm not as concerned about that. I believe that's going to happen this weekend. The problem is that our pitchers are either hurt or terrible. Yeah. And supposedly our best hitters hurt. So it's a bit of an issue. The team's not playing worth a flip. The last 10 days have been not great in Cubs land. Since they clinched, they've been a disaster. But I do want them to play at home. I like beating the Cardinals no matter what. Dorkiest organization in the majors. So putting them out of their misery the next couple of days will be nice. They'll go home without the playoffs again, where they're tending to make a habit of that at this point, which is joyous. But yeah, we need to get things in gear and before Tuesday.
All right, next one. The Penn State whiteout will be the best environment in college football this weekend. Take it or leave it.
I'll take it. It's a bigger stadium than Georgia. It'll be more color coordinated. Those are the 2 primetime games. All due respect to Ole Miss, I don't think Vaught Hemingway is quite gonna cut the mustard against Beaver Stadium or Sanford Stadium there between the hedges and Athens. It'll be a good environment, but it won't be either of those two. So yeah, I mean, I think, quite honestly, because it's September and it's not November, if you gave me an option to go see Georgia, Bama, or Penn State, Oregon, give me a free ticket on the 40, maybe a voucher for a couple cold drinks as well if you're in the giving mood while I'm getting these free tickets, I think I would go to Beaver Stadium. I think I would go see the whiteout.
All right, next one. Cal Raleigh became the first catcher to hit 60 home runs and the 4th American leaguer ever to do it. He's the MVP. Take it or leave it.
I think you got to leave it.
Leave it alone.
Every advanced metric that you have, Judge has a massive advantage on him. Now, Raleigh's a good defensive catcher. He frames pitches really well. He's a switch hitter. 60 homers is incredible. So I do think that a vote for him is warranted. You can explain it, but I do think that Judge is the MVP. I think his season has been a little bit better. I hate that diminishes what Raleigh's done, because that's incredible. I mean, you think about what whipped this nation into a frenzy in 1998 with those 2 guys trying to hit 62, and Raleigh just hit a casual 60 as a catcher. And I'm assuming a lot of sports fans don't even know who that is. And it's because he's in Seattle, even though they made the playoffs. It's just, you don't watch him. They're not on a lot. It's an amazing accomplishment. He should be lauded for it. If he wins the MVP, I won't throw a fit, but I think Judge is the rightful winner. Yeah, I think it's going to be Judge, too. He, like you said, and especially one of the bigger statistics that recently has come into more popularity in the last 10 or 15 years, WAR. Aaron Judge at 9.2 WAR, Cal Raleigh 7.2, which is still really good, but 2 wins.
It's 2 wins. I mean, that's really big. And I think you're right there. I think Aaron Judge does end up getting it. It might be a little bit closer, but
you got to get into I was watching a video on it yesterday, like the weighted runs created plus and all these big time analytical stuff. Like, Judge is 40% better in some of them. It's massive. The homers are great. Yes, but Judge is a more complete offensive player. All right, last one here. Tyler Shuck takes over at some point for the Saints on Sunday. Take it or leave it? I'm going to leave it. Leave it alone. I think the Saints get beat significantly. I gave you my 34-13
came in
prediction.
last week.
But I don't think I don't think it's a landslide like it was in Seattle. I don't think you get a punt blocked. I don't think you get a punt run back for a touchdown. You don't turn it over. You just make sure you punt. You get a couple of stops here and there. I think the game's reasonably, and you've determined that you want to develop Spencer Rattler as your starting quarterback, and quite frankly, he hasn't been terrible. I would suggest he's been boring. Just not terrible.
Okay.
I'm coughing up a storm here.
Yeah, I was wondering what's going on there, but it's all right. That's it for take it or leave it. Need some water, Hunt?
Need something. That was a really bad 20 seconds. Like, my eyes are watering. You do this for 2 hours, 10 hours a week. Like, every once in a while, there just becomes a spot where you just don't need to be on the radio at that point. That last 20 seconds was that for me.
That was it.
Bad, like, frog in the throat, coughing coming on. Good thing we got the cough button here, but my eyes are now watering as we're about to go to break. All right, we'll get you set up for the day tomorrow one more time, and then I will break down LSU and Ole Miss for the final time here. I've got my pick, and as I talked about yesterday, as I talked about earlier in this show, I struggle with this one significantly. I will tell you why, and I'll tell you where I arrived when we come back to close out this Friday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge, genesisofbatonrouge.com is that website. Convenience is just a big deal for the folks over at Genesis, and attention to detail is something they take very, very seriously, and that was certainly the case when they built that new facility there, Airline at Piku. One of the features that they've got in that building is a climate-controlled area where they can pull your vehicle in so they can show you all the bells and whistles of the brand new Genesis that you purchased. Sometimes that process happens outside here in South Louisiana when you buy a new car, which is a great feeling, but it's also brutal when you got to stand on the blacktop when it's 105 degrees. Also, it rains a lot in the afternoon down here. Don't want to be in the rain dealing with all that as well. Not at Genesis. You pull into that climate control area. Their staff is unbelievable. And then I mentioned convenience. They will come to you for a test drive. They will come to you for your maintenance. They will bring the car in, leave you a loaner, bring it right back to you when it's done. They just don't leave any stone unturned at Genesis. The line of vehicles speaks for itself, but the customer service, attention to detail, and just the overall operation over there at Genesis of Baton Rouge is second to none. I highly, highly, highly recommend you go check them out. Tell them the Hunt Palmer Show sent you over there, and enjoy your time and enjoy your new ride from Genesis of Baton Rouge. You can find the entire inventory online at genesisofbatonrouge.com.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Quirks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp.
All right, Friday show is brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp. Check out the menu, corksfishandshrimp.com. You'll see all the great catering options they have. You see all the great menu items that they have. That includes their baked potato that's famous. Started over there at Kuyon's across the river. Paul and Michael, who started Kuyon's over there, have started Corks here. And they'll get you one of those loaded baked potatoes topped with crawfish etouffee and those jumbo golden fried shrimp. It is real good. You don't have to have seafood when you drive through there, just seafood. You can get that baked potato as well. Incredible menu options and a great option for catering as well, not just for tailgates or game watching parties, which you certainly can do it for, but also feeding the office, birthday parties, whatever the case might be for you. Check out that menu at corksfishandshrimp.com. They bring you our Friday shows each and every week. Again, pregame show fires up. Charles Hannigan from Matt Musso tomorrow at 9:30. I'm now on at 12:30 on the LSU Sports Radio Network. 30 minutes after it goes final, you can catch me on the network with Brandon and Marlon for an hour, and then 90 minutes after it goes final, Charles and Richard right here in studio on Eagle 98.1's postgame. So let's talk about this one more time. It is LSU and Ole Miss, a pair of unbeatens. The first time since 1959, when Billy Cannon ran back that punt return on Halloween night, that LSU and Ole Miss have met as unbeatens. Now, that game was played on Halloween night or that weekend for decades, so the fact is that not a lot of college football teams are undefeated at the end of October, so stands to reason that's possible. But you would think at one point those teams would have had a monster season. It just hasn't happened. And this is early, so these teams have a long way to go yet, but this is a big one between these two teams. And it's, by most prognosticators, going to be a close one. Vegas set that early line at LSU minus 1.5. It was quickly bet to favor Ole Miss. It's been hovering right around that point all week. And I'll tell you, I have struggled with this, as I said many times. I said it yesterday, said it a couple times today. And I'll tell you why. I do not trust LSU's offense right now. I don't think it's very good right now. I think there are some pieces that can get better. I think the quarterback was hurt 3 weeks ago, and I trust that it will get better. I don't know when. And I do not believe that LSU can take advantage of Ole Miss's biggest weakness to this point, which has been stopping the run. They didn't stop Kentucky from running it, and Arkansas ran it a lot as well. Now, a lot of Arkansas running was Taylor Green, and I certainly know LSU can't do that. Garrett Nussmeier can't go out there and run it all over the place. So that's a tough spot for LSU to start with, that they can't do exactly what hurts Ole Miss. The running game's not good enough, and I don't think that it's going to be very good tomorrow. Now, I do trust the quarterback, and as I led the show with today, I think LSU can absolutely win on the outside against Ole Miss's secondary and throw the ball, but you can't solely rely on that. You've got to do a little bit of both, just keep him honest running the ball. Then you go to the other side of things, and I do think that LSU's defense is very, very good. I think it's very good. I love the depth. I've talked about it ad nauseum. I think that they've been coached excellently. They have not given up big plays. They can, I think, take that away from Ole Miss to an extent. But I do very much trust Lane Kiffin. I think he's brilliant. I think his ability to make things easy on a quarterback has resulted in prolific offenses wherever he's gone. Jake Coker, Blake Sims, Matt Corral, Jackson Dart, Trinidad Shambliss. He's just put up a lot of yards wherever he's gone because his offense is quarterback friendly. So I do not believe that LSU is going to throw a hammer down on Ole Miss. And quite frankly, there was a point in this week where I went, LSU's defense will play well, but if that offense can't run the ball at all, I just don't know that LSU is going to score enough points. Not 40, but like 24, 27, which they couldn't do against Florida or Clemson to win this game because Ole Miss is going to score more than Florida and Clemson. And I struggle with that. And then I heard that other guy on my other shoulder go, you realize this quarterback just came from Ferris State, right? That he's never played against a good football defense his entire life. Not one snap has he ever played against a good football defense. You realize that, right? And so I'm having this back and forth, and that's what I wrestled with all week long. And I finally came to my decision. I think this is really, really close. I really do. I think it's going to be a tight game after one quarter, after two quarters, after three quarters. In the middle of the fourth quarter, I expect it to be tight. And I think LSU's offense struggles in this game. I think they punt a good bit. I don't think the running game gets going, but I do think Nussmeier completes some passes. I believe that Trinidad Shambliss will make some mistakes in this game. If Blake Baker can have Cade Klubnik and DJ Lagway, as talented as those dudes are, and as much as they've played, which for Klubnik is a ton, and Lagway, it was a lot last year and then early this year, and those guys had no idea what they were looking at. And I just can't imagine that doesn't apply a little bit to Trinidad Shambliss. I think he'll make some throws. I think Lane Kiffin will scheme up openings in LSU's defense at times. But I don't think it's quite enough. I think LSU, on its defense, gets a 23-21 win in Oxford. An interception by Shambliss or a bad decision, maybe a strip sack, sets up a short field, and LSU can capitalize on that. I think it's tight. But I think mistakes, which Shambliss has not made yet, he has not turned the ball over at all, are the difference for LSU and Ole Miss. I'll take the Tigers. I was picking Ole Miss as of yesterday. I switched it this morning. Give me LSU 23-21. Hopefully that offense gets humming. I think my tone on Monday is going to be pretty demonstrative about this offense being a disaster or about this team being special, depending on the result on Saturday. Should be a wild one in Oxford. All right, that's it for us. Matt's going to join you from Don Juan and drive you home on this Friday. See you Monday for another edition of the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.